So thank you guys. I am joined today by Chase Rio, the CEO of Outlier Games, and Paul Gaddy, who is the CTO of the company. So we're going to do some very interesting Q&A session. We'll be taking some questions from the community as well. So please feel free to use the chat or the ask a question feature down below. So yeah, hi guys. It was,
Hey,
Chase, we just had a panel together, but Paul, it was a long time no see, so it was great to see you again. So Scott wants to know what's the name of the dog. I think that's
his name
a
is
lot more
Monster.
important than everything. Monster. Oh my God.
Monster, because he has a sister named Cookie, so I can't miss that chance.
Right.
So it's a Cookie Monster. I know it's nerd, but that's what it is.
I mean, that's name a better duo for a dog name, right? Like you have Doggo siblings and you have like Cookie Monster. That's actually borderline genius, man. That's borderline genius. Now I can see why you're into the gaming world. And actually, I'm quite interested how you both guys go into crypto and how you got together to actually build Outplay the way it is.
Well, I was in the games industry for quite a while, more than a decade. I was a game publisher in my past life, and Paul is a game developer and still is. And we met in one of those gaming conferences. I was looking for games to publish, and I believe Paul and Gabby, my other co-founder, are looking for publishers to publish their games, and that's kind of like how we started, getting in touch. I got involved into crypto back in 2017, started exploring that. And when I found out that Paul and Gabby was actually thinking of the same thing, we're like, okay, let's kind of do this. Like, this is something that's going to blow up at some point in the future. And I think it's good to be like early in that space and building stuff within gaming and blockchain.
Yeah, and maybe to add to that, I have quite the same background as Chase. I've been a game developer for quite a while. I've been making games since before the app stores, like even on these old Java phones. And so when I met Chase, and we kind of saw what blockchain can kind of, I guess, change what the current economics are around game development. And we kind of saw the opportunities. And the CryptoKitties was one of the first, I guess, catalysts of that. We saw NFTs, we played around with NFTs, and then we moved through the technologies around blockchain and when settled right now on what we're doing now, which is esports on the go.
Yeah, that's great, guys. And I mean, it's an amazing story, right? You come both coming from traditional, and now you're trying to bring esports to the masses. So Chase, why don't you do the pitch and the demo and just tell everybody what you're actually doing? Because
Sure.
yeah, it'll be good to see.
Let me figure out this screen share right here. 1 second. Application window. There we go. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yep, we can see the screen. It's even in like full screen mode. So.
Okay, so this one is full screen right now. All right, so I believe we have like about 3 to 4 minutes to do this, and I am notorious for overshooting time in general. So my name is Chase. I'm the CEO and co-founder of OP Games, and right next on the other screen is Paul, who's my CTO and co-founder as well. And so we've co-founded OP Games, which we dub as mini esports on the go, and we'll tell you more about why. So our mission at OP Games is to give game developers the ability to make competitive and reward-driven games by turning their single-player games into multiplayer tournaments as well as PvP matches that everybody can participate in, with crypto as a buy-in and crypto as a payout. Our primary game focus at the moment, and I think we've discussed this in the panel a while ago, is casual and hyper-casual games, which is about 60% of most games on mobile. For those who doesn't know, like, these are very simple games of skills with very low learning curve, and so it's really easy to play. And I think one of the most quintessential examples of this game is a game called Flappy Bird, which I believe became viral about 5 years ago or 6 years ago, raking in millions of players worldwide as well as thousands of dollars in advertising revenue. Unfortunately, Flappy Bird is not the standard in terms of like how game developers create games, as well as like in terms of like how they monetize, because it's an outlier. most game developers faces a lot of problems, particularly monetization and retention, specifically for this game type. Retention because the content of these games is very low, so it's having a hard time keeping players into the game. And monetization because the only way they make money through these types of games is through video ads, and they need to show it to a lot of people. And with retention as a problem, we can see why monetization could also be an issue here. So we thought of the OP Game solution. Now, OP Games is essentially a suite of tools that enables game developers to plug in tournaments into their games. And so we're building an SDK, which Paul has been working hard on for the last couple of months. I believe it will go live on Gitcoin today or tomorrow. I'm not mistaken. Paul can correct me on that one. And this SDK essentially would correct, right? So these developers would essentially this SDK would essentially provide developers the ability to plug it into their games, sanction tournaments into their specific games, and allow their players to buy in with crypto and to get paid out with crypto. On the other side of the fence, we're also building a platform for players to discover games, to discover tournaments, and to essentially mingle with the community, so that they could go ahead and competitively play games at the same time, play games on their own if they're not feeling so competitive at the moment. So that's what. Okay, we went back. So that's what we're building right now. And why is this relevant now? It's relevant now because I think like anyone who has a gaming project would say the games industry is about $150 billion in terms of the size of the market right now, and it's growing. And about 3 billion of that is a casual and the hyper casual game space, and about 1.5 billion of players on mobile or on PC right now have at some point played or are playing hyper casual games. So they are not new to the dynamics of these games and advertising. And in fact, some people would say some games are basically like advertisement with a little bit of games in it. It's because sometimes game developers are forced to show a lot of ads into their games for them to be able to break even from their time and investment building the game. And so we want to add a layer of tournament so that game developers could have like a little bit of a reprieve from showing a lot of ads and also catering to the more competitive subset of their communities. Our very first game that we're building on right now is a game called World of Mines. This will be present in our platform once it's available, which is currently on alpha, testing out some issues with the game and with the platform itself. It should be on beta soon, after a month from now. So essentially, OP Games is our take on that classic. World of Mines is our take on the classic Minesweeper game. This is a game developer partner that has worked on this game for quite a while now, and we are bringing in tournaments and Minesweeper tournaments for this specific game. So stay tuned for that. Our product milestone is pretty much in check right now. Our payout and our admin dashboard, where game developers can get into and set up their tournaments, is already in place. The OP Arcade platform is almost done, about 80%, with the World of Mines integration already available. We are also working, this is a continuous progress on the Unity SDK, as well as the SDK documentation, and should be available soon. And the full product release, which will happen at the end of the year, somewhere in December this year. As far as our roadmap is concerned, as OP Games is concerned, right now we're mainly focused on three things: our PvP matches, our tournaments, and the platform. As we move along 2021 and 2022, that's where NFT buy-ins would come in, hopefully in the first quarter. NFT wagering, similar to like how you play Pog. I'm not sure if anybody remembers that, but that shows my age. But that's where you play with somebody, winner takes all kind of like mechanics. We're also dabbling into our governance token, or the OP Games token at some point, and some other integrations with other Web 2 experiences in building games. And obviously, like as we move along within the year, within the next few years, we're going to be adding more games into the platform to build more of the community. We are a nimble team of 6 at the moment, with me as a CEO and co-founder, Gabby, who is also the co-founder of the company, along with Paul. We've been in the games industry for quite a while, and we're bringing in that experience into the company from day one. And we're quite fortunate enough to see the problems firsthand, and also very fortunate that we are in a position to do something about it. So that's pretty much OP Games in a nutshell. I hope that did not take 10 minutes.
And obviously, I was on mute. Sorry about that, guys.
Oh, okay.
So many video calls, so many panels, and I still go on mute, and I forget about this. So thanks for this. It was a great pitch. Thanks, Chase. I guess it could be quite interesting. So to learn, like, what are the biggest challenges you're actually seeing right now, and how are you overcoming them? What does it take to actually build in blockchain and gaming right now?
I think one of the biggest challenges that we're seeing right now, I think a lot of people keep on saying adoption, like how do we bring in more games? A lot of people are saying user experience. How do we make it as easy as possible, especially for non-crypto native people to actually onboard into a specific game that they want to play? And each type of game with different types of gameplay would have a different onboarding experience and a much different level of complexity in terms of like how they onboard players. Like games that are NFT centric have different challenges as opposed to tournaments or simple casual games that involves in-game tournaments. And these are different problems that requires different kinds of toolings to be solved. And I think that partnership wise, there's plenty of people in the space right now that are sort of like building solutions for onboarding, solutions for digital citizenship, for example, or for buy-in and payout. And that's actually what we're doing, at least in OP Games. So I think it's basically a convergence of all of these little things that are being built right now that we just really need to identify how we can put them together and stack them together like Lego bricks so that it comes out with like one cohesive experience for players to onboard themselves into a specific platform. And I think that's being worked on at the moment, but I believe, and I'm pretty bullish about that, that this will come into fruition with all the players in the space being so dedicated in building.
I guess related to that, I can add
Yeah.
like I've like when you're in the space, you can kind of see that we're a very alpha industry, and we're kind of using a lot of alpha tools. So Chase mentioned that you need to be able to know which technologies will work. So that's something that we constantly have to look after. So we're keeping a balance between getting these technologies that we see will probably become mainstream in the future and really bridging them towards the tools that game developers now use and are proven to currently work.
Yeah, that's great, guys. Thank you for this. And also, it will be quite interesting to see what's next for you, and how people can be involved.
Sure, yeah. As I mentioned on chat, we just announced our SDK. We put it out to Gitcoin grants since we want people to check it out, play around with it, uh, contribute. It's an open source SDK. People can just contribute to it. Let us know what they can do to improve their tech stack. Because as Chase mentioned, game developers, they use different kinds of technologies. We targeted the ones that we know are popular, like JavaScript and Unity. But there are still a lot of people that we want to reach. That there's other game engines that people are using, and we want to hear their feedback. We want to integrate them in our platform, and yeah, just participate in our community, and that will be something that we can all start to build together with.
Nice, that's great. Well, everybody, that's Game Dev. Please look out for the bounty. So Paul put some links in the chat, so definitely join them. And then probably I have 2 more questions, and we have time for only 2 more. But guys, what was the catalyst for you to in your opinion, for this to be the best time to build a company like Outlier? Like, what do you think formed that perfect storm that is now actually like giving you the headwinds?
I think one of the biggest catalysts, at least for us, being involved in this specific space is not only the newness of the situation. I think like everybody would loves the challenge, and being early on in the space allows you to not only create but also to help define the structure and the standard that would come along in the next few years or even decades. And I think that for us is a motivation and a big driving force on how we could potentially change and help out as well. Because we've been on the other side of the fence, and we still are actually, especially Paul. On the game development side of things, where we work at the mercy of the gatekeepers of Apple and Google Play, for example. If you're building a mobile game, these are your only monetization structure. You can only do this, and that, right? It's defined within the terms of which platform you want to put your games in. And so in a way that doesn't give you a lot of freedom and a lot of flexibility, and to a certain extent, it doesn't give you a lot of innovation. And that's as a game publisher in the past, that's what frustrated me, wherein I need to look for games and onboard games, but I can't onboard games that are new, that are fresh, that have a different way of being played, because they don't monetize quite well. And so what happens is, I bring in like 10 games that are guaranteed to actually work well because it's structured the way Google Play and Apple would want it to be structured, and then bring in one or two games that are, for me, is groundbreaking. And I think that if but that's not gonna make money, right? So for me, I think it's the driving factor, the driving force is the catalyst for us is to we have the ability to actually build something that a lot of people would benefit from. And if you're early in that space, I think like it's going to give you a lot of trial and error opportunities for you to be able to actually pave the way.
Yeah, and Chase already said it perfectly. But to add to that, when you're in the Web3 space and you see all of these innovations like DeFi, for example, or like radical funding, or quadratic funding and radical economics, you can kind of see like what really happened to the app stores, right? Like how Gilbert was talking earlier about the social dilemma and how that kind of defined how the economics work in advertising. So now that we're here in this space, we're defining how the financial incentives will work, then we really be able to change it for the better for game developers, which is something Chase and I are very passionate about.
Yep, that's great, guys. That's great news. As somebody mentioned in the comments, cut out the surveillance companies by going direct to the users. And this is definitely what we're trying to do with the centralized tech. So literally, very last words from you. What if you had to give like one sentence as the advice to new emerging founders? What that would be?
For me, I think, well, I'm gonna steal what Dan said. Apply at Basecamp. That's one thing. Essentially, align yourself with the right people, right? Second, like on a more sort of like founder perspective, mentally prepare yourself. I think like that's one of the things that I think is underrated, like mental toughness and that level of resilience, because not only are you going to be inundated with a lot of things that doesn't go your way, it sometimes could stretch for a very, very long time. Think of Tom Hanks being stranded in an island, Castaway. That kind of feels like it somehow, wherein it's easy to sort of like, all right, I'm just gonna swim in the sea and get eaten by sharks, or I'm gonna stay here as long as I can and find a way for a boat to actually get me. I think that sort of like mental resilience is very, very important. So sort of like try to focus on your mental health.
On my end, it's to actively learn. Like
Yeah,
Chase and I,
thank you
we've
for
been in
this.
the industry for a while, so it's good to know what the new technologies are coming up, so you'll be able to adapt.
Yeah, yeah. So we have resilience, adaptability, support network, mental health, don't burn out, and continuous
Exactly.
learning. So, well, thank you for this. Like, these 5 things need to be very carefully balanced, but coming from the pros, it's definitely doable. Well, thanks for you guys. Thanks for joining me
Thanks,
today. And
Anna.
then if somebody has, yeah,